Henry VIII, The Heart and the Crown by Alison Weir, published by Headline, and this is a retelling of the story of Henry VIII, his wives, from his perspective. So it's set during the first half, more or less, of the 16th century. I listened to this as an audiobook, and it's almost 20 hours worth of a listen. It's beautifully narrated by Elliot Fitzpatrick, and I really, really enjoyed it. I guess ever since sixth form, I've always had a fascination for the Tudors, for Henry VIII, for his 6 wives. And therefore I was delighted to pick up this book because it colourfully brings that whole period, the man, his wives, the machinations, the Machiavellian doings, really brings it all to life. So he starts out as a boy, moves through into adulthood. He is looking for his first wife, and of course he gets married to Catherine of Aragon, Kate, who was the wife of his brother who died, who rightfully should have taken over the throne. But here is Henry, ascending the throne with his wife, and the thread throughout, which is very, very clear, is that he has to have a male heir. Females are obviously no good, but males, are his passion, his kind of, he just is afflicted to get a male heir, because if he doesn't have a male heir, the whole of his dynasty could just disappear. So you get the sense of the pressure both on him and of wives, Catherine and subsequent wives, to produce a male heir. The author also looks at the courtiers, his advisors, and his political negotiations with other countries. And very often he is, a very intelligent man, seemingly. He is well read. Sometimes he gets the international relations wrong. That leaves England isolated. He has to find his way between the warring courtiers, who often are in it for their own satisfaction, their own methodology. They want to achieve something by manipulating him. And so in one way he is always surrounded by people, but in another way it must have been incredibly lonely. You get a real sense of the man that he probably had separation anxiety or attachment anxiety, because he fell in love with Anne Boleyn, and it was almost like it was a passion for him. And then of course the black and white issue, she is the one who gets beheaded because she apparently has slept with other men. What I also like is the courtiers and all the names that come in and out of the story, and so often the names mentioned in this story, you can see that roads and streets have been named after these people in London, in and around London. And so you get a real sense of the history of the power of this particular era under this particular monarch. There is mention of various palaces which don't exist any longer, Whitehall and various other ones that were in and around London, and so you have a real sense of the footsteps past and how they have informed London as it is today. It is in many ways a poignant retelling of his story. It is also demonstrative of the tragedy of his life. He also had a very exalted life. He lived a very lovely life with lots of luxury, but then of course illness strikes, and in those days it was very difficult to treat certain illnesses. He had a festering wound eventually on his leg, which I guess eventually poisoned him. There was also the sweating disease, which I've looked that up, and it's not really known what it is, but it could be a SARS, a type of virus. And interestingly, it was only really in England where it took hold, but it put fear into the people, and often they would leave one palace and go to another to escape infection, because it was so easy to die. And of course many of Henry VIII's children died when they were just born or very, very young. So you realise how fragile life was in those days and how you had to preserve it at all costs. So of course, there's a lot of bloodletting, there's a lot of dealing with people who might be a threat to his lineage. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lovely way to kind of imbibe the book by listening to it as an audio book. So I highly recommend it.